You see what I'm saying? And so I'd rather, because for example, even being on this podcast right now, if I had a regular day job, I couldn't do it at least during this time of the day. I probably couldn't do it because I probably wouldn't be getting off of work till 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And so just being able to have the freedom to adjust my schedule as I need to do some of the things I want to do, I love it, you know.
And that's the trade-off. Point. I'm looking at the camera now because I'm talking to the person that thinks they want to be an entrepreneur because they saw a video on YouTube and dude's telling them that they can make $20,000 in this month by quitting a job and starting drop shipping stuff from China, or quitting a job and flipping stuff on Amazon. I've done both of those things.
Right.
I had a job when I was doing that. And once I got my hands into it, I'm like, it looks like fun and it's glamorous, but man, you get tired of going into stores and finding stuff to buy and then scanning it and seeing if it'll sell on Amazon and then taking it home and packing it up and shipping it out to Amazon and then waiting for it to sell. That's not fun. And unless you absolutely love doing that and going to all the thrift stores and going to Ross and finding them Jordans that shouldn't be on sale,
Right.
unless you absolutely love it, I wouldn't advise you to stop your 9 to 5. You can have it as a side hustle, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Very few things where I would just say, oh, you need to 100% just give up your job and go chase this thing. Because again, this world ain't for everybody. So we're going to get into a little bit of that piece of it, because we're going to do this and then we're going to take a quick break. So we want to talk about challenges that you've had with your marketing with Less is More Productions. And first thing is dealing with competition. And I have a specific view on competition, but have you had to deal with competition in your space and people trying to undercut you and stuff like that?
Yes. It's competition, man, that's a trip, because especially when I first got started off, there's always somebody trying to undercut what you're doing. So in terms of pricing.
Right.
And so I used to be involved in that race to the bottom situation where, you know, it's almost like I became like a mini Walmart, except I didn't really have the capacity of a Walmart, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Low prices. Yeah, I guess I could do it for 70. Yeah, 'cause I got a cousin. He said he could do it for 65. Okay, I can do it for 60. And you get into that situation. And I think I've said this to you before, but one thing that changed my mind when I heard Magic Johnson say that it takes him just as much work to make $1 million as it does for him to make 100 million. It's just a matter of, so when someone calls him, of course he's on that level, someone calls him with $1 million deal, he doesn't take the call. If you call Magic Johnson about a business deal, he's dealing in the 9 figures. That's why everything you see him do, you know, he's buying the Washington Commanders, or he's on that level. He's not on the level of, if he's going to get involved in let's say he want to buy some Dunkin' Donuts, he's not going to buy 2.
Right.
He's going to buy 100. Everything he's doing is 8, 9 figure deals. And so that's, from a relative standpoint, that's the level that's the way I think now. Mm-hmm. But when I first got started, the challenge was trying to deal with other people who were cheaper than me. Now here's the thing I realized too. And the one advantage I do have is that I do not sell a product. And what I mean is, if I sell a Chevy and somebody else got the same Chevy, yeah, okay, you may have to CKU battle on that price. It's the same exact car. Right. I'm selling art. That's the way I look at it. And so I have a niche. My niche is the style in which I design everything that I do. And once I realized that kind of gave me a little out, a little niche, a little way of saying, okay, yeah, you could go with the cheaper guy, but let's actually compare the designs. You need a flyer. He designed a flyer. Look at his flyer. Now look at mine. And because of that subjectivity, that gives me an advantage in some cases. Now, some cases, The other guy may be better. Okay, cool. But I like that game. Because I can work on my skill and get better and better.
Right.
And it goes into the whole blue ocean strategy. I'm not going to compete with everybody trying to go low prices. I'm going to set my price and then I'm going to get better at what I do. What I'm trying to do is be one of the dopest designers that you know. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's where I am that's my whole philosophy at this point. And so that's how I'm able to really, be honest, stay in business and keep doing what I'm doing.
And I think it hits a couple of things. First, Magic, if you're watching this and you want to talk a couple of them stray $1 million deals
Let's
at me
go.
at me and Les, we'll take it.
We will take it.
Contact information down here. Toss us some of these $1 million deals, bro. We want them, and we will give you. I will shut everything else down just to work on that $1 million deal.
Right,
a couple of weeks or a couple of months, however long it takes. But
exactly.
The other thing is that what you're mentioning goes into the concept of the pricing strategy. And we were having this conversation online because me and Les just it's not just the podcast that we speak. We interact in other places. And there's a video clip I posted of Meek Mill at, I think it was a shoe convention or whatnot. And so he's sitting there talking to dude, and he's sitting there talking to the dude who had the shoes. And dude had shoes like, hey, the shoes gonna cost you $500. And Meek made a production out of it. He had his people recording it and the whole nine. And he thought he was giving a lesson to this dude. And no shade to Meek. If you watching, no shade to Meek. Hope you watching. Got our fingers crossed. But basically the concept was, he's like, I'm giving you game. If you knock $100 off these shoes, then I can do a commercial for you. And then I give you, and then you can not only have the commercial and the endorsement, but then you have the sale too. And two's now just give me my $500 and I'll be good. And the concept was, my take on it was, dude's already in a viral video of Meek Mill, and he still got paid full price for them shoes. If he got on camera giving a discount to the shoes, that sends the message that those shoes aren't worth what he's charging for them. And he'll have everybody and their mom lining up to get the Meek Mill discount. And he'll never be able to charge full freight for them shoes. What happens when you get into the negotiations on prices with people, or you lead with the discount, and it's a discount you don't want to make, you feel like you have to make. You're saying this service isn't worth what I'm charging for it. And sometimes if you price, even if you give people top flight services, but they feel like they're underpaid for them, there's a psychological thing where they'll start picking it apart and start finding problems with the discount service. Whereas if they would have paid 10 times what they paid, or 5 or 10 times what they paid for that service, there's a other psychological element where they will optimize the situation in their mind and say, no, this is exactly what I asked for. And they're rationalizing because of how much they paid for it. And so the price thing is a subtle signal about the value of what you're offering. Either be the cheapest priced or be the most expensive. You don't want to be third cheapest option. And so when you give that discount, and this is for my fledgling business owners who didn't take my advice earlier and keep their day jobs. If you out here and trying to figure out how to set your price, you want to be reassuringly expensive for what you do. And I stole that from Ty Turner from Flash Film Academy. But that reassuringly expensive, because if they pay enough, they see the value in it and they don't have much to pick apart. If they feel like they got your services on discount, there's always something wrong with it. How many times have you had a flawless meal from McDonald's in your mind? Now, if you would have got that same McDonald's meal at a high-end restaurant and paid 5, 10 times what you paid at McDonald's, that little quarter pounder that meal. Last time I checked, the meals is expensive now. So that little quarter pounder meal that you got that started out as $8, $9 is now $90.
Right.
You would have optimized it and said, man, the fries were amazing and burger, you know what I'm saying? You would have optimized because you had to rationalize how much you spent on that thing. So The gem, the wisdom we putting in here is stand firm on your pricing. And
Right.
you want people to say, man, that's expensive. Yeah, it is, because I'm giving you high quality work. But if you're like, oh, it is, man, let me see how much I can knock it down. Now they're gonna start questioning the quality of work that you're putting in.